Welcome to TM Radio Broadcasting. My name is Frank Allen. We are live from Boston, Massachusetts. It is Friday, July 21, 2023. If you'd like to call in and listen, dial +1 518 801 1318. If you have a question for myself or our guest, dial +1 617 987 8603. Tonight, we have a very special guest. I would like to introduce Ana Toledo, the attorney for the people. Go ahead, Ana.
Hi, Frank. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for that pretty introduction. I'm just very happy to finally get to your show.
I'm quite happy to have you back. It's been since February the 1st, 2023. That was the last time you were with us. Where would you like to start? I thought it might be interesting to cover the ground between February the 1st to date. What do you think?
Perfect. Yeah, and feel free to stop me if you need to ask me something. I can do that. Um,
I will.
as you know,
Yeah, I will send you a cue.
okay,
All right.
perfect. Well, as everybody knows, we filed this lawsuit. It's a lawsuit requesting a declaratory judgment of the unconstitutionality of including innocent civilians in a terrorist database without given the opportunity to refute the false evidence stated about them or included in this list about them. So that was on January 11th, 2023. Then on February, I think it was February 15th, I filed what is known as a preliminary motion for preliminary injunction. In that motion, we argued that people are suffering so much because we got a lot of emails from TIs that their targeting had substantially increased since the filing of the complaint. And what we were asking the court is simply look, we have the evidence, the admission, because it's an admission against their own interest by the FBI saying that there are people on that list that don't meet the terrorist criteria and thus they don't represent a terrorist threat. So what we did is we asked, the government has admitted that uh, even removing those people from that list wouldn't do anything bad to the government because they don't represent a terrorist threat, right? And besides, the Homeland Security Presidential Directive number 6 of 2003 only authorized the inclusion of known and suspected terrorists in this list. So their inclusion of non-investigative subjects or innocent civilians in that on that list, it's in and of itself illegal. So the government managed to get an extension of time. They took advantage of the fact that I was in France, and within 2 days they got an extension of time to reply to the preliminary injunction when they filed their responsive pleading or the motion to dismiss, which they did towards the end of May 30th was the deadline. In there, as many people know, they alleged that it was fantastical. It was the complaints. There is nothing, absolutely nothing fantastical about the incorrect and the illegal inclusion of innocent civilians in a terrorist database. That's just pure fact, admitted by them. So there's nothing. But the thing is, they didn't discuss that part. They went on to from saying, well, they allege, they somewhat allege, or they don't allege because they dance around that too, that they're on this list. Going from there straight to and then they allege the directed energy weapons, the gang stalking, whatever. But they omit the glaring omission was a discussion about the illegality of including innocent civilians on this list. Then, when this all happened, that's when the whistleblowers started coming forth in Congress. Mr. O'Rourke and Mr. Friend are going to Congress saying, our supervisors were pressuring us to put people to classify innocent people that didn't qualify as domestic terrorists, and they went before Congress and stated this under oath. And what the dot they didn't connect is, I'm placing them on the terrorist screening database, and as a result of it, obviously in the program. So that's one of the things that we asked the court to take judicial notice of, because the Department of Justice on hundreds of cases has alleged that the court at a pleading stage has to take judicial notice of whatever they feel like it. And in this case, it was us that asked the judge, the court, you please take judicial notice of these testimonies of these whistleblowers, because they are confirming what we are saying, that 97% of this terrorist database, at pursuant to an audit report written by the Department of Justice, 97% are not known and suspected terrorists. Only 0.29% of the people on the list are known and suspected terrorists. So from there, the court, one of the issues we're going to be bringing on on appeal, okay, is that it was a mistake not to take judicial notice of that.
I have a
Okay,
question. I have a
is it
question.
so far? Are we good so far?
Yes, we are. I just had
Okay.
one question, and
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to ask you, when that was dismissed this last time, was this done in the courtroom, or was it a pre-trial with, say, a clerk magistrate or a lay magistrate? I was just
No,
curious.
no, it was a judge who used to be the chief judge in the Houston Southern in the court federal U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. She's not. It was not a magistrate, and there was no hearing, and there was no yeah, no appearance, no court appearance. It was all through in writing. It was all in paper, and that's a great thing, because what that means is that the standard of review at the Court of Appeals now is more favorable for plaintiffs, because the Court of Appeals is in the same position as the district court, so they don't have to do an abuse of discretion review of the case. Rather, it's a de novo review. Okay, and that's really good. That's actually really good for plaintiffs in this situation. There are many inaccuracies that we're going to bring as part of the appeal process, containing the decision that was issued on the 11th of July. Not coincidentally, on the 12th was that Christopher Wray was going to Congress to testify. So, I believe that it was easier for him to testify, because if anybody asked about this lawsuit, well, he would have said, "Oh, it was dismissed. It was deemed fantastical and bizarre," because that's another term the court uses in his writing. So I already filed a notice of appeal. I already got admitted to the Fifth Circuit. I've been admitted before to the First Circuit. I have urged people to look at the case that I won, that I had, with my colleagues, but I was the one that argued it before the First Circuit on 2021. It's for Federal Fourth 63. Which was a case against the public utility in Puerto Rico, the water public utility, a citizen suit that created precedent for many organizations, environmental organizations, that want to intervene, that want to do citizen suits for the compliance of the act. So we're ready. We're ready to go.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, this is a superior court. It's another circuit court, or can you let our listeners understand that?
No, it's the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals,
Okay.
and is based in New Orleans, and it's the Federal Court of Appeals. So that one is the one that reviews the decisions by the New Orleans, the Louisiana, and Texas courts. So that's where they review the decisions from the district courts in all of, for example, Northern District, Southern District of Texas. All of the courts, Western District of Texas, are reviewed in that court, which is the Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit.
Okay, I would assume that at this juncture you would definitely appear there. Am I correct?
Yes, I filed a notice of appeal. I requested admission to that court, which was already processed. I had, I had warned TIs that this was a possibility because uh, for years, for decades, people have tried. Many people have tried to fight this, Holocaust. But this is the first time that a constitutional challenge to the list has been brought, and that's why we believe that I still have very high hopes that we're going to prevail. And so I had already requested my certificate of good standing with the Puerto Rico court, which is my base court, my United States District Court for the District of Puerto Rico. And so I had it ready for submitting it to the Fifth Circuit and requesting admission. We are doing, backup plan, the backup plan, and another backup plan, and that's why we are, we're doing it. We're giving it all. We are doing our best, and that's one of the reasons why, if you look at the docket in this case, I put a lot of documents on the record in case that we had to go on appeal, because we wanted the court to take judicial notice of them. So I think we're in a really good position, and we're just working very hard to make it an extraordinary appeal.
Now, have you got? Let me see. What was I going to ask you? So all the plaintiffs will be there. You will be there. Would it be prudent to bring affidavits, we'll say, from TIs? It's just a question.
Well, not at this time, because the Court of Appeals is not a court where you bring evidence in. Okay, that is for later. Like once we prevail and we get this judgment that is so unfair and so not to for me, it's distant from the prevailing precedent and law. Well, then that's the moment where we're gonna do various things, Frank. We're gonna, like we're saying, we're not gonna leave anybody behind, and we're contemplating many things. I don't want to anticipate anticipate what we're going to do, but we will. For example, we want to verify the status, the names of all of those targeted justice members that have sent in their information when we get access to this list, which the court denied us. In this case, the court denied it as moot, instead of saying no, let them see the list, uh, because if we saw the database, we would corroborate that all the plaintiffs were there, and then that would have um, been an obstacle to the dismissal of the case. So we plan to, when we get access to the list. Let me make this very clear. People that are in the known and suspected terrorist portion of the list, their attorneys get to examine the database. So prior courts have granted access to attorneys for cases where there's probable cause or reasonable suspicion to include them as known and suspected terrorists. However, this is the first time that a court denies innocent civilians on a terrorist database their attorney the opportunity, denies their attorney the opportunity to look at the list and verify their status on the list.
Okay, I had a question for you. Did you happen to review exactly what is on this list?
No, we haven't been able to. We have not
Okay,
been granted
I
access.
did, and I found 400 organizations and 140 individuals. That is what I learned. Now, I may have the wrong document, but I am.
Yeah, because we estimate it's from the documents, from the evidence produced in the El Haiti versus Cable case that was in 2019 before Judge Trenga in Western District of Virginia. At that time, the estimates we had at that time, it's like, doing the math regarding, they put in the list at least 33,000 people per persons per month or more. Okay. And at that time, this was in 2014, from the 1st of January to the 30th of September of 2014, they had put in like 330,000 people, something like that. Okay. So today, nowadays, it is estimated that in the United States alone, there are from 300 to 400,000 targeted individuals. And in the world, there's like around 6 million. And this is based on data produced by the FBI in the El Haiti versus Cable case.
Okay, did you? Now, I'm sure that you brought all those cases forward. Uh,
Yes.
and, and the judge still threw it out on the basis that it was fantastical.
Well, the judge did not, like I mentioned before, the judge did not address the uncontroverted material, facts, and admissions by the FBI regarding the inclusion of innocent civilians in a terrorist database. She did not discuss that, and that is the crux of the matter. Not only that, but the court did not discuss the one of the sworn statements submitted by Mr. Samuel Robinson, who is a deputy FBI agent, saying that the other people that are included in the list are there for secret criteria. There is nothing more illegal and un-American than that, and the court did not even mention it. So, what he pretty much proved our case with his sworn statement, saying no, no, and also, he alleged the law enforcement privilege without complying with the required procedures to do so. The court did not discuss any of that. The court did not discuss the false statements that I proved with the uncontroverted facts on the record. For example, the defendants, the official capacity defendants, said this false statement. Oh, they are talking about like a minor amount of people on the database that are not known as suspected terrorists. That is not true, because pursuant to Department of Justice own audit reports of the Terrorist Screening Center, it is that entity that concluded that 97% of the people on the list are non-investigative subjects. So what you have is that I put it in a motion. I said, hey, these people are lying, and this is the evidence proving that they're lying. Well, but the court didn't do anything about it. So that's another issue we're going to bring on appeal, that there are uncontroverted documents from the DOJ that state, for example, FBI field office submit nominations to the database without complying with agency regulation. That is in black and white in the audit report by the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, document 08-16. Just like I just told you,
Okay,
it's there.
I have another
Mhm.
question. Why don't you subpoena the FBI agents that came forward with the fact that they were Havana syndrome victims?
Well, no, that's really great. Yeah, that I was investigating. First of all, right now I can't subpoena anything because I have to wait for they had to answer the complaint. I have to reverse the dismissal, and then the Court of Appeals will order them to answer the complaint, and that's gonna be beautiful because when they answer the complaint, they're gonna have to admit
to most of the pleadings, because most of the pleadings are based on material, uncontroverted facts, based on documents. At that time, we want to find out, we want to do discovery, who are the Miami, I think it's that they're in Miami, agents that have Havana syndrome. I believe Mr. Said is their attorney. I have tried to look for those cases. I think they're either negotiating and they haven't really filed lawsuit yet, because I haven't found them yet. I don't know their names, and I will certainly, because here's what you should know. One of the among the pleadings we put in the lawsuit, which the court completely disregarded, is this: it was the it's the National Academies of Science and Engineering that concluded that Havana syndrome is caused by microwave pulsating attacks, okay? Pulsations. So you don't have Havana syndrome unless you have been attacked with a directed energy weapon. I didn't say that. That is contained in an uncontroverted study by the National Academies of Science, which the court didn't acknowledge. So those FBI agents in Miami with Havana syndrome are clearly targeted, and they
Okay.
have been, yeah.
Um, it seems like a professional would be in line at this particular point on the timeline. Why don't you subpoena Michael Hoffer or Dr. Michael Hoffer as well when you are able?
Bueno, remember one thing, that there is such a thing as the HIPAA law. He cannot talk about the private medical records of anybody without their consent. So even if I had a subpoena, he could not, because of a federal law.
Couldn't he
Eh,
generalize? Couldn't he generalize and say,
oh, yes,
because
definitely. And
he was the
yes.
one that was chosen to physically diagnose the people from Havana?
Not only that, he's the one that diagnosed Dr. Len Bear, who is one of our plaintiffs. So
Right.
if we needed to authenticate Dr. Bear's files, we need to bring Dr. Hoffer just so he authenticates his files. But you see, that is a little bit down the line. We first need to get through this threshold that the court, despite the documentation, the vast documentation and uncontroverted nature of the facts, the court didn't look into that. So we have to convince the Court of Appeals to reverse the judgment, and then order, and then enter into the normal course of a case. And that's when subpoenas come, that's when depositions come, that's when for example, one of the crucial, I don't know if you've been up to date with Matt Taibbi Twitter files, but one of the things that is obvious is that the FBI field office they have over there at Twitter, they were monitoring the accounts of people that weren't even famous, that people that didn't have many followers. And I am absolutely certain those are targeted individuals that they were shadow banning and monitoring and harassing. So that's one part of the discovery we're going to be carrying out, because it's clearly an illegal violation of the First Amendment rights.
I believe that there are so many rights violated that they just took the Constitution and just trampled it. Because you don't have any privacy. I haven't had any privacy for almost 12 years. And that includes everywhere, and I'm sure all the targets will bear with me, including yourself. And it's a terrible blight on the person. You always have somebody with you. So there's the right to privacy. These are all First Amendment rights. And the right to be in your person, in your home. Um, there are so many rights that they've broken.
Um, Today, as we speak, the Bill of Rights does not apply to targeted individuals. We, like you say, we have been subjected to unreasonable search and seizure of, on many occasions, there is remote neural monitoring. There is people like myself that have been illegally implanted. There is people, that going into your house and going through your things, going through your computer without a warrant or with a FISA warrant. The defamation of your character, the stealing of your property, the stealing of your bank funds, um, the most gruesome one, which is um, cruel and unusual punishment, because the torture that targeted individuals are submitted to is nothing but a huge violation of that cruel and unusual punishment. So, the entire Bill of Rights does not apply to targeted individuals. And the sad part is that until now, neither the police, neither the district attorneys, neither the courts have been willing to carry out their job of defending individual rights of targeted individuals.
Do you believe,
It's a double sword, a double edge, double standard. Sorry.
right, do you believe the term intellectual property should be redefined?
Oh, definitely, definitely, because but what we, what I have, I'm trying to accomplish here, Frank. It's This is overwhelming to a normal person that doesn't know anything about targeting. When you tell them a little bit and a little bit, it can get overwhelming. So, with this case, what we're trying to do is just do this first step. Then we want to go for, I know so many people whose intellectual property has been stolen from just the invasion of their minds. You know what I mean? And the hacking, the electronic hacking, for example, the work product has been stolen from many of us. I had so many documents, deeds, creative stuff done there that they totally stole, pictures that they totally steal it to take advantage of it. And yeah, definitely, they are stealing the intellectual property and making money off it by um, all the programs that they are supposed to have. So yes, but we have to do it one thing at a time. We first need to shut down the weapons. After we shut down the weapons, then we move on and we move on, because we cannot try to do everything at once, because we're not going to succeed.
Okay, the Secretary of State or his office had at one point within the last 2 years said that he was going to use the lower level satellites, geostationary, to search for the signals. And apparently they know what they are. And they can search right down to 5 watts. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping to learn something about what they've done.
Well, one of the things that as TIs we need to get the word out is that every person is being tracked, and the subliminal messaging and mind control of the population is real. That makes everybody targeted individuals, even though they don't suffer the atrocious consequences of being a real targeted individual. Still, this has been carried out, and I don't know if you're aware, but we're carrying out a campaign for the weaponization. We did it last Tuesday in Coaches Hall, and it's we're teaching people how to. We're giving them drafts of letters for to carry out the de-weaponizing of towers, so that they don't have these capabilities, not only of firing microwave beams at targeted individuals, but also we need to stop the V2K, and we need to stop the subliminal messaging. And I think that the way we're doing it is, we're alerting these publicly traded companies. If you don't tell your shareholders that you may be liable and lose a lot of money, but you're going to be violating SEC Rule 10b-5. And that's just one another area of activism, because our goal is to unite the targeted community, and everybody carry out, do their part in ending this Holocaust, not just relying on what I'm doing, which I'm giving it all I have, but also, from other corners, attacking the program from other corners.
Okay, right now I'll tell you just briefly where I am. My one of my perpetrators, his name is Michael Pierce, and he has moved, and I am getting a skip tracer to find out where he's living, and I'm going to serve him with a cease and desist order. Is this something that you've run into?
Well, we're doing the cease and desist with the cell towers. And what I'm telling TIs is the following. We all know, I mean, I know who are my biggest enemies and my perps, I know who they are. But I want the cease and desist against the people that are running the program, because these criminals, the reason they get away with their criminality is because they have the almighty protection of the United States government shielding them. These people would not get away with what they're doing, because this is a program run from the CIA, from Shrevers. Okay. So it's a program that the FBI jails you for life, throws away the key, puts you in this gulag. Okay. And for life, you're going to suffer these consequences. So, what I need people to understand is, yeah, we might have gang stalkers, we might have perps around us, but ultimately, the people that need to pay for your damages, the millions of dollars, because don't be mistaken, the torture that targeted individuals have undergone is worth millions of dollars in a judgment. And that is why they don't want to give us our day in court, right? So your neighbor or whatever, and this guy or the other, they don't have the millions of dollars that you deserve to be paid for all the torture they have perpetrated on you.
We
And
could
that's what I,
we could physically bankrupt the government of the United States of America.
that's true. But at the same rate, remember one thing: the government of the United States has not acted alone. We have entities like Crown Castle, like American Tower, like AT&T, and they have to chip in, because they have provided the directed energy weapons by weaponizing their towers. There's also, I mean, I'm not going to go into the huge list of people that I have in sight as responsible parties. But you very well know there's, for example, higher education entities that have profited from the illegal implants placed on people. And they do their research and they get their grants and they get all their money, profiting from this, enslaving people with these chips, with these implants, medical artifacts, cables, all sorts of things. Okay. There's the doctors. How many doctors have not profited? How many dentists have not profited from carrying out these crimes? So, what we're seeing here is that, yeah, we're not, the government has to pay for a great deal of it, but we can creatively bring into the table the people that have made it feasible. Because without the cell towers, the directed energy weapons attacks on 6 million people would not be possible, because they only around 10% of the attacks come from satellites. Around 90% comes from weaponized cell towers. So that just gives you an idea that, these people are in as co-authors of these crimes against humanity, and they have to pay for them.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the public aware that if you have any questions for Anna, you can dial +1 617 987 8603, and we'll put you right in touch with Anna. Okay, go ahead, Anna.
No, I don't know if you have any more questions. There is litigation aside from this case that we're going to be filing soon. Okay. I have many things that are close to my heart, and I'm doing the research about it. For example, I really want to see criminal defense attorneys starting to ask on their discovery for their clients their TSTV status with the FBI, because one of our TIs who is in Oregon, he has never had a federal case. However, in his rap sheet, there's an FBI number. Why? Because he's a targeted individual. And so, what many targeted individuals have been entrapped into crimes that either, okay, they could have committed them, but they were really entrapped, you know. And so what I want criminal defense attorneys to realize is that being on the TSDB, for example, sets you up for the police to stop you more than any other person, because the license plate, your license plate, is in this database, and they, oh, let's stop him, you know, and they intervene more, and they and then they do, you know, they wellness checks to put people in mental hospitals. It's just, you know, it's all a grift. But I think that criminal defense attorneys can start, as a part of defending their client to the best of their abilities, they have to start uh, asking for the TSDB status and to see the TSDB data on their client. I had the pleasure of talking to a criminal defense attorney in Illinois this past week, who took the time to call me, and I explained everything to him. And I, in fact, I even sent him the police instructions that the FBI give the police. If you see somebody in handling code 3 or 4, don't tell them they're on the list. Don't arrest them, but look around for evidence of crimes. That's the instruction. And that is to try to entrap them. You see? And so I sent that to the attorney. I am at the disposition of anybody that needs me. I won't speak to the person per se, because I will speak the legalese and explain to the attorney, look here, look here, look here. But I'm definitely at their disposition should they be criminally accused or threatened with the wellness check and being placed in a mental hospital. I can provide them with the evidence and the documents to help their clients.
Just to do a show like this, I am put through holy hell. I'll tell you that. And I'm sure you're in the same situation. You are a TI, correct?
Yes, that's true. I can totally understand you, and I commend you for your accomplishments, because things for targeted individuals are 10 times, 20 times harder than for as I call them, normies. And that makes us into sometimes very frustrated and angry, but sometimes it makes us into superhuman, because we accomplish things that we have against all odds against us, and yet we do it. And for example, when I was filing the, let me just give you a little example. When I filed a notice of appeal, I had to pay the $505 appeal fee. So the criminals, what they did is that they got into the pacer system, which is where you file, and once you pay, you're supposed to be redirected to the filing page so you can file your document. So that didn't happen the first time I did it. I had to do it a second time, and when I went, and then it said you have to pay again. Well, I wasn't going to pay again because I wasn't going to be in this. Oh, you have to give me credit, whatever. So I called Pacer, and with a woman on the phone, she took me by the hand. We were able to do it, and then since I called the very same day, she said, "Don't worry about it because well, I'll cancel the transaction. It's not going to go through." So I didn't have to pay twice. But that took me 45 minutes more than a normal person, because I had to call her and I had to do this with her on the phone. And that's how, I have been trying to I purchased Adobe to do the appendix for the court filing for 3 days, Frank. I have been trying to install Adobe in the computer, and the criminals don't let me. So I totally hear you. I totally commend you on your accomplishment, and this is the type of thing that it has got to stop. And they don't think they have this absolute impunity. They think they can continue doing this without any repercussions, and that's not true. They're going to have to pay for it.
It's interesting when you say they're going to have to pay for it. Now, I believe that Dr. Catherine Horton said that her number was $100,000 a day per TI. Now, what is a human life worth 24
Hmm.
hours? It's priceless. You can't really
It's
put a
priceless.
price on it, but we have to. So she came up.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
she's totally right. I think she's totally right, but it's like you say, it's priceless because the humiliation and the torture and the pain and the frustration and the angst is priceless.
It is, and I definitely believe in affidavits, and they are just like a walking, talking witness. When you go to court, I believe that's what she did. I am very impressed with the job that you have done. You have brought this before the court, and win, lose, or draw, this is still a precedent for the community. But I think you're going to win. That's my feeling.
Thank you. Well, I really feel it in my heart because here's the thing: the law is on our side and the truth is on our side, the true facts. So it would have to be something that is not the truth and the law that would intervene for us not to prevail. Now, what you're saying about the affidavits, that's so very true. But let me tell you, in my experience, one of those priceless things that I found as a litigator that judges really like is when you have a journal. When you have a journal and you write there from, with the emotion from the bottom of your heart. And when you're all alone and you're writing, it's like, right now I just got pierced. My head got pierced with three satellite, with a satellite or directed energy weapons, and the pain is just so excruciating that it reverberates. And you just go into your own thing and thinking about how your day was ruined, how what they did to you today. They did this to me, but I got up and I continued. And those handwritten journals are going to be, in my opinion, the best evidence of the torture. We have asked some of our plaintiffs to write for 15 minutes what the voice call tells them, just for 15 minutes, because you have to be able to explain to a complete normie what this feels like. And even I, as an attorney, find it very hard sometimes to understand how voice to call feel like, because I don't have it, right? But it's debilitating. It's an atrocious torture, and I want my plaintiffs to just be able to sit there and explain to a judge, how does that feel, having this person, the messages they say. For example, I'm going to give you one horrible example. Is one of our TIs, she's not a plaintiff, but she's a member of Targeted Justice. She's a grandma. And one of her little granddaughters, she's 10, she asked V2K, this is a multi generational torture. And the little girl knows that it's technological. She knows she's not crazy. Okay. But she doesn't talk about it in school because nobody would understand. Right. But these people are so evil that they tell the little girl, we're going to eat your stomach.
Yeah, they
And when you
say they say all kinds of wonderful things. What they make very difficult is when you visit your children and your grandchildren, and they say, "We're going to make you look at her blank. We're going to make you look at her blank."
Oh my God.
It's
Oh my God.
terrible. It's disgusting. And
Well, that is the kind of journaling that I really urge TIs. I am telling all TIs in the world, you're going to have your day in court, because when we prevail, there's going to be attorneys coming out of the woodworks to file lawsuits because they're going to see, oh my God, this is going to be a winning ticket. And when you have that kind of, July 17th, or I don't even know what day is today, but July 21st, and at 4 p.m., and the V2K started saying this and this and that. When you, because you know what? Here's the thing, you cannot make this up. You can't.
No,
This
you
is
can't.
so atrocious that a normal mind could not come up with this.
I've had people try. I had a woman from down south call me up, and she says, "How do I become a TI?" And
What?
yes, she did.
Why?
Money. She thinks there's money in this. So a lot of people do. They think.
Oh, well,
So I said,
yeah, well,
if you need instruction on how to be a TI, you're talking to the wrong person. And I just hung up.
exactly. This is, but wow, that's a first one for me. But I tell you, I am absolutely certain that when we prevail, because we will, even if we had to end up in the Supreme Court of the United States, even if I have to, like I said, I'll do a forest come run throughout the entire United States. We have to stop this, and I do tell you something. You might know more than me because you're out there in the media, but since we filed this lawsuit, the term targeted has become more mainstream, and it's like people are starting to talk about it more, even non-TIs, right?
Yes, I hear it all the time. Targeted. They sort of stole it from us and they're attaching it to a number of things. I just wanted to say that in my UN questionnaire that I just completed, I did use Targeted Justice's name and Ikator's name as two groups to follow that will set a precedent for others to follow. So,
Yes,
that's,
and yeah, we are in solidarity with Icator because they have been consistently fighting for these rights. It's important to get out, Frank. It's really important to get out the word that children are victims of this. There are children that are targeted, that are burned, that have V2K, that are bullied, and because what are children doing in a terrorist database? Nothing. It's sheer evil, and we have to, I think we will start catching the attention of non-TIs by explaining this, because kids cannot make this up. See?
no, they can't.
And our lives, as you well know, our lives, reality surpasses imagination, even atrocious imagination.
Yeah, I have an ongoing battle right now with the V2K. Two of them battling back and forth. Oh, you shouldn't have mentioned that. You shouldn't have mentioned that. Are
Wow.
you going to put that
You
on YouTube?
wow.
You're damn straight I am. You know,
I am
I,
in awe. I am in awe of you that you can continue um on a straight line, and not deviate with these criminals tormenting you. I really commend you, and I always say it. I take my hat off and I admire all the people that can handle V2K, because it's truly debilitating, and for you to continue being successful and doing your thing, I honor you, and I really admire all V2K survivors. Yeah.
well, you're doing an excellent job, and I
Thank you.
was going to review your last show with us just to see how much has changed, and I think I'm going to put them together probably um, on the station remix. It's actually all episodes of the radio show playing all the time, 24 hours a day. So if a target feels cornered, he can pick up the phone and call 518-801-1318. He's going to get one of two things: a live show or a recording of all the shows playing 24/7, 365 days a year. So there's always something to listen to there. And I think,
That's great. That's a great service. And it's such a great service because one of the, what we get, and I guess you get it too, is that they feel so lonely and that they don't have anybody to talk to and they feel nobody understands them. And so, this is such an important public service for people not to feel lonely. Um, I know that the criminals have jacked up their um, attacks on people. And what I have to say to them is, please hold on. We have endured so much. And the only reason that they have reinforced their attacks is because they know that they're losing and they're desperate. So I really, and it's not like, oh, it's easy for you to say because you don't know what they are. No, I get attacked too, very severely, and not as severely as many TIs I know, but so it's not like I don't know what it's like, and my heart really goes out to. I know there's a lot of electronic rapes going on, very painful V2K and very painful attacks to the head. I know that that's going on, and I want you to know that it is frustrating to me that justice doesn't move faster because it's very painful to because I know people are suffering. So I can assure you I'm doing my best to get this over with as soon as possible. I am giving it all I have. Okay. And it's a huge responsibility that I feel. Uh, it just frustrates me that I cannot do it as fast as I wish I could.
well, if we can help you in any way, just give us a call because we have some documents that date way back and we have over 1,000. I mean, we only display like 20 or 30 or 40, but we'll be more than happy to help you. Just give me a topic and we'll send you the docs.
Awesome. Well, I'll do that. I'll get when we get back to court because I'm absolutely confident we're going to go back to court. Well, definitely let's do a conference call. Let's do a call and do
Yeah.
that brainstorming, and also it, it's important. I'm gonna have. I want people from all walks of life to come before the court and talk about this because it's not just 18 plaintiffs. Uh, this has been um, this has been a horrible program that has stolen the lives of too many people. One of the initiatives I want to do once we're on the way with a case is, and perhaps you could really help us with this, I want to do an inventory of those TIs that have taken their own lives because I believe that it is important the court knows how many lives have been stolen by these criminals.
I have something to add. Now, I can't think of the gentleman's name, but we had a TI. It was right around the same time as the rioting in the United States. And he was shot by a police officer, and we never heard anything about it.
Wow.
Now, he wasn't on the news.
Because he was white, right? Because he was
Well,
white.
he just wasn't in the right place at the right time, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wasn't George. For what's his name? George. Whatever. I don't believe in the riots. We believe in peace. We believe in this. That targeting affects all races. I am Hispanic. I'm Puerto Rican. There's a lot of white people. There's a lot of black people. There's from every walk of life, and I don't like to make a race an issue
No.
because it's inappropriate. It's completely inappropriate to do so.
TIs
However,
TIs are all one color. That's what I.
exactly one color, one
Yeah,
color.
that's right.
But here's the thing. One of the things that we have found it's that right now, like for example, the parents that go and protest in the parents that protest in the school boards. or those that were being pressured to be placed on the terrorist database, right? It's usually people that are tend to be more of a conservative thought, tend to be. That's what our internal polls say. That it's 5 times more likely they're conservative than liberal, in that sense, you know. But then again, the conservatives are the ones that are fighting for their constitutional rights, which should, it's just it sounds strange. Anyways, no, I have stopped anytime somebody starts to confuse the thing, the issue, and saying no, 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 this is all a one race thing. I said no, this knows no color. There's a lot of Asians too, a lot of Asian targeted individuals. There's people in Australia. We want to start a podcast or a conference call with Australia because we have found that the phenomenon there is out of control, out of control,
We lost
and
list we lost
they don't.
listeners in Switzerland and Germany, 14 and 17 respectively. And I'm trying to find out what happened. I can see losing one or two listeners in a country, but to lose, 14 in one country and 17 in another.
Probably probably the country is blocking it. A targeted justice website, statistics through Cloudflare tell that they are being blocked. Sometimes, for example, it takes 43 seconds for the page to load in places like Norway. Okay, so don't doubt that they are blocking it because they don't want people to be informed, period.
That's correct. Well, I will tell you, Anna, it's getting to be about that time. And I would like to thank you very much for spending an hour with us here this evening. And I would also like to thank our listening audience. And I would like to say good night from Boston, Massachusetts. And my
Good
name
night.
is Frank Allen. Thank you. God
Thank you,
bless.
Frank. Thank you. God bless.